Hello, everyone, and welcome to an all-new episode of TEPSA Presents. I'm your host, Todd Neslony, the Director of Culture and Strategic Leadership here at the Texas Elementary Principals and Supervisors Association. Now, the last couple of episodes, we've been doing some fantastic member spotlights. But this episode is something special. And for this week's episode, I invited one of my favorite people on the planet, as well as an incredible leader. And even more exciting, she is one of our guest speakers at our Assistant Principals Conference happening next month, October, in Austin, Texas. The one and only Miss Valerie Walker. Valerie, thank you for being here. Tell everybody a little bit about you before we get started.
Thank you for having me. What a wonderful intro. How do I talk after that? Well, I'm Valerie Walker. I have been in education this is year 19. It has gone so fast. The majority of that time was spent as an assistant principal. So what's exciting about the AP conference is I have spent more years just like an AP. So that will be incredible. I've been in multiple districts. I'm currently in Crowley ISD, serving in my third year as a principal. And I think what's incredible about that is just the learning opportunities are endless. We're never not learning. So that's me. I come from a family of educators. My sister's a principal. My mom was a principal and a superintendent. I can't turn education off.
No. And you know, what I love about you, Valerie, is you just exude excitement and joy. And, that's what we need in this role. And, I got to say, for those who got to see you at summer conference this past June, you were at one heck of a packed session. So I'm excited to talk. So tonight's conversation is just a little touch, a little preview of what people will get if they attend the Assistant Principal Conference. Now, you might be listening today and thinking, I'm not an assistant principal. Well, guess what? You can send your assistant principal or an aspiring assistant principal, or if you don't have an assistant principal, you can still come to learn from people like Valerie. So today's topic is based right after what you're going to be talking about next month. And that is, don't get stuck in operations, maximize opportunities as an instructional leader. Because as we know, as a campus principal, you're all types of leaders. And so talk to me kind of about why you chose this topic. Like, what about this speaks to you?
Yeah. So do you remember those 3 B's? Have you heard about those 3 B's as an administrator, right? Butts, buses, and books, or bottoms, buses, and books. It's so easy as an assistant principal to get stuck there, right? You get stuck in discipline, you get stuck in textbooks and operations, and you get stuck all around the building doing all those things that keep the building running. And that is absolutely important. But I got to tell you, if you are not maximizing your ability to support your campus as an instructional leader, your students don't grow as much as they can. Your principal can't do it by him or herself. Your instructional coaches or your specialists or your interventionists and your teachers can't do it by themselves. So the expertise that you have is not just the GM of the campus or the operational manager of the campus. There's so much more in you. And I think, Todd, what ends up happening is we inadvertently limit assistant principals' opportunities to really become principals and instructional leaders by kind of pigeonholing them, if you will, or keeping them in that operational box. As principals and executive directors and leaders at the top, when we create these roles and responsibilities that force them into operations, and we don't think outside of the box in ways in which to support them instructionally. So that's my goal, is to make sure every AP, no matter if they're in a 5A district, a 6A district, a 1A district, I don't care where you are. I want to make sure that you can both support your students, support your teachers, support your principal. But I want you to walk away being able to be a stronger instructional leader as well, so that one day when you're in that seat as a principal, you don't struggle that first year going, how do I do this? This looks completely different from anything I've ever done. Right. I want it to be familiar, and I want you to be able to go into it maximizing those moments as an instructional leader.
So I've got to know, at some point this had just like hit you across the face where you were like, oh my gosh, like I was doing this wrong, or this became really important to me, or somebody spoke this into me?
Yeah.
What was that revelation moment for you where it was like, I have been stuck in operations, I need to not?
Yeah. So let's go back to the fact that I was an AP for 12 years. Let's just live there. I don't know very many people who wake up in the morning and go, I want to be an AP for 12 years.
Yeah.
Most people become APs and they're doing it on the pathway to principalship, right? It's a 2, 3, 4, it's a single digit pathway, generally speaking. And what kept happening was I'd find myself that person who was always, oh yeah, we want Walker to work at our campus because, well, she's got that discipline. Oh, she's really, really strong. Oh, hey, we're going to move you to this campus because we really need a strong disciplinarian and you've got that. So I always found myself the bridesmaid and never the bride, that person who could be counted on for systems, who could be counted on for operations, who could be counted on for discipline. But I wasn't really ever asked what my instructional specialty was or what my input was. My team, I was an English language arts person. And so in PLCs, my team knew, hey, we can get some feedback from Walker. Yeah. And our scores grew. But in terms of having a campus mindset or being able to support my principal there, I really wasn't called upon for that. And so I kept looking over the years going, why do I keep missing out on principalship? Why do I, and when I'm in interviews, I can only speak to one small, tiny component, and I'm missing being able to demonstrate, I can lead this thing. I can do it. I got the confidence, but that's not enough. I've got to be able to demonstrate that I can do the job. And so in my last year as an assistant principal, one of the things that I asked my principal for was additional responsibility. I know that sounds crazy. Give me more. But I did. I said, I'd love to take on the responsibility of supporting our campus to our next letter grade. We were a C at the time. And I said, hey, we've been studying ways to support particular grade levels. And so would you allow me to take this particular method and just go with one grade level? I'm not trying to take over the campus. And that's very important. APs, you want to make sure your principals know, I'm not trying to sit in your seat. I'm just trying to support you, right? Not trying to take your job, but I want to help. And so if I could just take 4th grade, and if I could just make sure, and this was back when 4th grade still had reading and writing separate, if I could just help them see that the two are not completely separate, reading and writing, that they're this process that's married. It's a song and a dance, and we're not just doing passages separate, and then we're not writing later. If kids can see, wow, this process is really a marriage, could their eyes be open? Can I teach teachers how to plan better and not just plan the two of those subjects in isolation? And when I did that and supported them and helped them see that and took their feedback as well, and I grew, they grew, she looked and went, they like what they're doing. They're excited about planning. We saw a data change. Now, was it huge? No, it was 6%, but it was growth. It was growth in the right direction. And so then I was able to speak to the ability to take a subject area and grow that subject area, and thereby show I cannot just do that with one grade level and one subject area. I can take that and I can do that large scale, and here's how. And so I want to be able to, I want other people to experience that and not wait till their first year as a principal and go, how do I do this? Right? That's why I'm super passionate about that. No one should get in that seat their first year and panic. Well,
you make yourself super marketable by doing something like that as well. So not only are you growing yourself and making yourself more knowledgeable in those areas, but then also in interviews, you're like, oh yeah, I did this. Oh, I know about that. Oh, I can continue to grow in this area. So I love that you took that initiative.
Yeah. And everybody benefits, right? Like you selfishly, you got some sticky verbs for your resume, right? But really, when you look at the big picture, who are we there for? Those students grew, those teachers grew in confidence. And that right there God, that goes a long way. Burnout is huge because teachers will say, I'm working really hard. But sometimes they're working really hard, but it's not on the right stuff.
Yep.
When we can help them focus on the right things, maybe it's a 1 to 2 degree shift. It's not always the baby in the bathwater.
Yeah.
It is not always an entire program shift. Sometimes it's something super small and the light bulb pops on.
Yep.
And if we can give them back some of their time and make things a little bit more efficient, but get a big bang for our buck, that goes a long way. So the students grew, and then teachers being able to not be so burnt out, but still get that kind of growth. Man, the instructional culture of a campus shifts and comes alive. That is, I mean, that right there goes a long way for growth. And ultimately, when you look at any like theory of action or a goal tree of some sort of logic model that we do when we put together campus improvement plans or targeted improvement plans, ultimately saying this is what we want to do, we're saying student achievement is ultimately what we want. You want to be a part of that as an AP. You don't want to get to the end of the line and say, well, I kept everybody well managed so that they could do that. You want to be in that mix too, because ultimately we're supposed to be instructional leaders too, as assistant principals. And I want to show you ways to be a part of that.
Okay, so I don't know about anybody else, but I am feeling invigorated just listening to you. Can y'all feel the energy Valerie has? Imagine being in the same room as her. So we're not going to give away anything else, Valerie. We touched on it. We share a little bit about your background. I already have a takeaway that I, just listening to you right now, am going to use. But if you want to learn more from Valerie, like, what are y'all doing? Like, sign up for the Assistant Principal Conference. Even if you're not an assistant principal,
yes, come on.
It's in Austin, Texas, in October at the Renaissance Hotel, where we used to do summer conference. It is going to be fantastic because not only do you get to learn from Valerie, you get to learn from a couple other special guests as well. So we hope to see y'all there. Valerie, thank you so much. And I got to say, if you're listening to this on podcast, you can't see the background in Valerie's room right now, but she has one of my favorite current song lyrics up there, and it's from Lizzo, and it's her new album Special. And so I got to give you a shout out there, Valerie, because I was like, oh yeah, I love that song. But Valerie, thank you for sharing a few minutes with TEPSA today.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
And for those of you who might be watching and going, oh my gosh, that's a really awesome t-shirt that Todd's wearing. You're right. And it's super duper comfortable. And we release 6 colors every month or so. So right now, you can go to the TEPSA website, tepsa.org, and purchase your own We Lead Texas t-shirt. For you, your friends, your family, your whole school, whoever you want. We've got lots of colors there for you to check out. And don't miss a brand new episode of TEPSA Presents next week.